Welcome back. Today in our Sunday Spotlight, Connecticut State Parks. There are more than 100 of them dating back 100 years. How they came to be and how they've changed over time is the subject of a book, Connecticut State Parks, A Centennial History, written by Alan Levere. Alan is joining me today along with Brian Wilson, the director of Connecticut State Parks. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome. Glad to be here.
I have the book. It's hefty. Listen, you are getting your money's worth. I got this yesterday, but I told you I was transfixed by the book. The stories, the text, the history, but the pictures you have, Alan, are just amazing. I was struck by the fact that in 1913, no parks. By 2013, there's 107, I think, by that point, yes. And the number, is ever expanding. What do you make of that and the commitment? What did your research show?
The research showed that over the course of 100 years, the planning had to be consistent and with a lot of foresight, and it came with a lot of foresight. These were individuals back in 1913 who used the term "could see around the corner." It's like, how can we build a park system that encompasses all of the geography, all of the attributes of the state, and all of the places that people want to go?
Well, and it's interesting, as you read right way at the beginning, the first park at Sherwood Island, they had 5 acres and it was landlocked, and they quickly figured out, well, this is a bad plan for a state park. We need access and we need a little more space. Hammonasset, I wrote this down. Hammonasset, when they put it together in 1919, it was 75 parcels, 565 acres to start. So they kind of figured out, we got to get this bigger. One of the things, Brian, I'll turn to you, the first Parks Commissioner, Albert Turner, was struck by the fact that there were private homes popping up on the shoreline and it cut back access. Whether it's the shore, the hills, the woods, access is a big part of state parks, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about public lands here, so these spaces are meant to be for everybody. And at that time, Albert Turner also recognized that if the state didn't act, that these places were going to be consumed and continue to be further developed. And the Long Island Sound, the coastline especially, was already really getting built up. So it was an exercise to really try to very much engage in how do we acquire the stuff before it makes it even harder, or there's less and less of it to acquire, because they're not making any more new land, right?
Of course, and it's so important to grab it while we can. Now, tell me about the research for this, because there are so many great pictures. Joe Courtney was a guest earlier in the show, and I'm showing him in the book the female firefighters from 1942, yes. Forest firefighters, because the men were all at war, and so they were a female forest firefighting crew. The pictures in here are super cool. Where'd you find them all?
The pictures are part of the remarkable archive within the Connecticut State Park office. Probably between 14 and 18,000 images. Many of them are wonderfully old, very old. And so we have these great depictions of the history of Connecticut State Parks and really of Connecticut as it evolved through a lot of cultural changes through all of those years. And it was well documented, and now it's in order. It took a while to get things in order. Many photos were unlabeled and we didn't know where they were from, but there was a little detective work by aging cars and so on and so forth. But great archives, great resources, and they really add to the storytelling.
Well, and it is a story. There's I grew up in East Lyme and went to Rocky Neck my whole life. Had no idea it was a fish packing plant before it became a park. Then it was a privately operated park, and that got people to stop complaining about the fish smell. And then eventually a state park. Dinosaur State Park, just up the road from us here in Rocky Hill. Yes. They were doing construction. They found the dinosaur prints, and they continued the construction. And then someone said, "Wait a minute. Maybe we need to make a park." 113 days later, it's a state park.
It's a state park.
See, I read the book. You guys didn't think I did. Brian, just tell me, what do you hope the average person in Connecticut, if they read this book or just want to go enjoy a park, what do you hope they get out of it?
So, for me, also a native of Connecticut, and I grew up right down the road from where Albert Turner, grew up in the Litchfield County area, is just being taught to be proud of where we come from, and that there is so much incredible natural and cultural resources that we have within the park system, that amazing stories, we're creating amazing experiences for people, that this, whether you're a trivia buff or you want to learn a little bit more about the place that you visited as a kid, there's something in this book that I think everybody will find really fascinating.
And I think, Al, as I was reading the book, I kind of started to feel a lot of families probably have traditions based on a lot of things you have here, whether they would always go to Rocky Neck, or they would camp at Hammonasset, or they would go for a special hike up at, Talcott Mountain. These are all things that are kind of part of the fabric. Is that what you found?
They are, in fact, generational parks for many, many families. Gillette Castle, you'll see grandparents there with their children and their grandchildren, because they've been coming to that park when they were kids. And all of a sudden, 1943 is a long time ago when we got the property. And same with Hammonasset, and certainly the beach parks. Any of the early parks were visited in great numbers, and the tradition has been passed down through the generations.
Brian, if we kick this out another 100 years, do you think we'll be talking about 200 parks? I mean, like you said, they're not making more land, but is this still something that we should be trying to do?
Absolutely. I mean, our goals within the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection call for, more open space acquisition, and that is always ongoing. And whether it's actually, a new park or further acquisitions that add on to existing parks, that stuff is happening in the background all of the time. We also have a lot of parks that we've acquired, whether they're in piecemeal parcels where there's a vision where, like, someday that next puzzle piece is going to come together, and then we will have what we're really looking for. So yes, there's lots of opportunity for the future. A lot of ththings that we're doing right now with, like, our statewide rail trail system, where we're looking at how we can better connect a lot of these places as well too. There's so much untapped potential, and yet these parks are here forever, and they will be here another 100 years from now for sure.
Well, they are absolutely a gem, and the book is as well. And I'm all out of time, but I guess the takeaway from you, Alan, is whatever you do, take lots of pictures.
They could be valuable.
They are all
at some
in this
point.
book, and like I said, you are going to get your money's worth, because this is a hefty book, and it's definitely a cool read if you're from Connecticut. Alan Levere, Brian Wilson, thank you so much for being with us here on CT 25, and we're going to tell people right now how they can buy the book. If you would like the book, it is called The Connecticut State Parks, A Centennial History. It's available at all of the state's libraries to check out. You can also purchase a copy online at ctdeepstore.com. That is CT 25 for this week. CBS Sunday Morning is coming up next. Have a great rest of your weekend. Maybe go check out a state park. We'll meet you back here in Studio A next Sunday morning.